I'm not trying to get my car stolen. So he couldn't just leave the vehicle while and then the two of them walk in and then spend, I guess, the afternoon with me, hanging out and whatnot, type establishment thing. The guy had to drive in. He had to for the safety of his vehicle. So it was understandable his insistence on driving in. Driveway. When my cousin was like, I want you to come meet my boyfriend, I was so nervous because that's like a chick. Like I wasn't expecting a boy to be here. Like what in the world? Like I'm a girl and you don't bring boys here when people are not with like fake lip gloss and battery sheets and looking all cute. Plus, listen, I wasn't even trying to necessarily be cute. I always felt really inferior next to my cousin because she was the yellow bone and I was the dark one, and so she was always known as the prettier one. But still, I don't want to look ugly in front of some boy. It's a boy, you know what I mean? So when I had just I didn't even change out I never used to change out of my school uniform. When I was a kid, sometimes in my school uniform, right? So I was still rocking my school uniform because but I was like, my shirt was out. I was like, I tell you, I was disheveled naked. As usual. I was looking like 10 shades darker. Whatnot. Listen, and I think I had just eaten or I was in the middle of eating or whatever. Not the best time to be seeing no boys. Like, no, I don't want to see a boy. Hey, don't bring a boy to the yard. Like I'm not prepared for a boy. And then my cousin walks up with a boy, and it wasn't even a boy really, it was more like a man. But anyway, whatever, we shall call him a boy for the sake of this discussion. And she was like, my boy is at the gate, and of course I'm not gonna be out here lip gloss or changing out of my school uniform for my cousin's boyfriend. I would look like I'm a homewrecker. I would look like I'm trying to take a man or whatever, right? Plus, at that stage, Naniki saw Jolie and I wasn't even trying to date. I made a decision when I was in grade 8 that I'm only going to start dating when I'm 16. So I was not even trying to find a boyfriend or whatever. But anyway, but still, I don't want somebody else's boyfriend be actually looking at me like, yo, I get talking. Anyway, whatever. So I leave the house like that. Get where is Kia? Here. I just open for my cousin. And then she's like, come all the way to the gate to open for my boyfriend. Chiki is out here also in school uniform, right? Yeah, now I peri jersey. Yeah, now I peri school tunic. Yeah, na ke motho wa hempe white. Yeah, na ke motho wa tie. Do you understand what I'm saying? And she's there at the gate at the door, come open for my boyfriend. So I don't even go inside to do anything or to regroup. I just go out to his Kia, clanking in my hands. Go ting, 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 clink, 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 clink. Type establishment thing. It's his Kia and it's actually clanking in my hands and I'm walking and I'm again. When I was a child, I was very, very shy. So listen, I was shy all throughout my life, but I conquered it and I overcame and I bit my lip and my tongue later on in corporate because I realized that it was going to mess with my career if I was still so scared of people. So I basically just kind of faced my fear. But when I was a child, yes, like it would. You would think I was like autistic. You would think I had a disability, a talking disability. You would literally think that because I was so quiet. I was so quiet. I was so shy. So I was of course nervous. I was shaking when I was walking down that long driveway to go to the gate to meet this boy. My cousin, to open the gate for him. Yeah, type establishment thing. And that's exactly what I did, right? So my cousin, we walked together to the gate. She gets out of the gate. While I, at the gate, I'm out here to open for this guy, right? And then she gets in the car, and then she and her boyfriend drive in, and then I lock the gate again, because, we had to make sure that it was kept locked, type establishment thing, while they drive all the way in to go gating, and then I walk behind the vehicle, type establishment, as they're driving in, and then I eventually catch up, and I get to where the car is now parked. And then I meet the guy, and I mean, listen, I will admit this. He was a really cute dude. He was a really, really cute guy, but he was still a man. Like, he was a man. Well, my cousin was a child. He was a man. He was a really cute dude. He looked colored, like, only cute, and ona papa. Papa very hectically. This boyfriend and my cousin, and he gets out of his car and he's like, hi, how are you? My name is Brian. Let's say his name was Brian. He's like, hi, how are you? My name is Brian. No, I'm good. And everybody's actually having a conversation and I'm just like, I'm so uncomfortable because I'm shy. Like, proper, no other reason. Like, it's not like I don't like this guy or I don't like my cousin. It's just that I was very, very shy. But this guy was he was regular okay peoples. Like, he was good peoples, but he was old. He was old, like proper he was, and he, like I said, he was just good peoples, and like they didn't come inside the house. They just continued to hang out mokoloying in the yard. Or whatever, but I was just standing there in my school uniform looking all scrawny, like looking all weird, looking all whatever, and I'm just like giggling at whatever jokes they're telling. And it's just like a thing. And then ultimately after like an hour, because then my cousin realized that my older sister was shortly going to arrive. Of course not my mom, because mom would only be back like about 6:30, 7. Yeah, my cousin was then like, okay, look, we're gonna go now, and then they left, right? So I got over Tabayaure, my cousin was dating a dude Wakoloi, but I did not stop looking at all the chicks in my high school that actually be getting picked up by Abu Papa action. Like, I did not look at them. I did not. My cousin was my god, so I was a hypocrite for her. Whereas I still frowned upon all these other girls. But this is who my cousin was in grade 8. And then 1 year later, in grade 9, this time around, the same, like, oh, okay, so I told you guys in my other videos that I was like an ugly duckling that became a swan. In primary school, I was nothing, I was unseemly. And even in the first grade of high school, I was just like, whatever, blah. But then when grade 9 came, all of a sudden, I started getting all this attention everywhere. I started also getting scouted quite a lot in malls to model and whatnot. So I started to notice, basically, that, hey, people think I'm pretty. It's like I grew into my beauty around grade 9, around the age of 15. So my cousin is dating this guy. Still, a year down the line, the same couple put a stunt on me again, but this time around, oh, my computer is out to restarting. Anyway, whatever, it's fine. Ooh, if my computer is restarting, what else is restarting? Anyway, it's fine. Anyway, I don't want to be distracted. So so a year later, my cousin is still dating this guy. I think they dated for like a year and a half, almost 2 years. Okay. You don't date a guy that is that many years older than you and you're not having sex, like you proper. Like, he's gonna demand it. He's absolutely going to demand it. Anyway, whatever. Uniform. A year later, they like me. We're still staying in Winchester. I mean, with my mom, my family, right, my sister and everybody was still in Winchester. And this time around, Bang Todze walking back from school. And now I used to duck the sun because I'm a dark girl. I used to hate the sun because I was very insecure about my complexion because colorism in the black community is like a whole thing. When you're dark, you're just underestimated. You're not regarded as much type thing. Plus, I was always next to this cousin of mine who was a yellow bone. And she was always favored above me. So I always was like, just always ducking the sun. I tried very hard, but it was not working. I would always walk in a pathway with the most trees and shade myself with this because I just didn't want to get darker or whatever. So I'm out here walking in a very conspicuous fashion. Back home back from school, walking this path home, and I'm out here, chasing after tree shade. Weird zigzag walk. One time I'm on the one side of the street, and the other time I'm on the other side of the street. At one side, yeah, proper, I'm walking around in zigzags, and then this vehicle comes from the back as I'm walking, changing strat, and just feel walking like a zigzag, and they slow down, right? Just as I'm about to arrive at home. Like, just as I'm about to arrive at home. My cousin then, and her boyfriend, then rock up, Oko passenger again, blazer, school uniform, tunic, alles, next to a dude that is in his vehicle, and my cousin is like, Gadabo! And then I jump. Do you understand? Also, oh my goodness, that's my cousin's voice. I look back and her boyfriend, she and her boyfriend are like behind me, like driving towards me, type setup thing. They didn't give me a lift because I was pretty much already at home. Let's take it type establishment thing. They decide to park the vehicle. Basically, I think they just continued to drive while I finished my journey. Like, listen, I was maybe like 1 house away from home, so there was no need to give me a lift or whatever. They parked the vehicle, but I'm like the pavement where my house was at. This time around, they didn't come in. And then they left. They were like choop choop in and out. I think they were just driving around, cruising the neighborhood, the south of Joburg. I don't know why you would come all the way to the south of Joburg when your school is so far away. And so they made a decision just to do a detour in my hood where I stayed. Type establishment thing. And they parked the vehicle ahead, and then I catch up with them. And the guy gets out of the vehicle, right? My cousin hugs me. Since I met the guy the year before, he hugs me because everybody knows me now, right? And then he's like, whoa, you've grown. And my cousin is like, essentially my cousin is like, no, don't be out here ogling at my cousin now, right? Because I went from this child in grade 8 looking whatever to this woman now, this child still in grade 9, but now I'm, I guess, pretty. And this guy's like, whoa, you've grown. And he's looking at me like I'm cute now, like I'm pretty or whatever. And my cousin starts to complain or something. Long story short, well, when that whole event that happened over there, that's the kind of stuff that happens when you keep on hanging out with crazy people, right? When you allow yourself to continue to linger in the company of the loco upon the earth, right? When you keep on making like a 10 and hanging like a 10 with the incendiary of the planet. Last year, they might look at you like you ain't jack. Because a lot of times the not so crazy person belonging to a conglomerate of crazy people tends to be initially they tend to be nothing to write home about, and like there's nothing at all that we need to talk about over here. The person that is introduced into a space that don't make no kind of sense, when initially they introduced into a space that don't make no kind of sense, everybody in that space looks at them like, hi, what's up? That's it. And they just like glide right by you. But as time progresses, when you grow into yourself and you become something seemly now, right? They then are like, yo, uhudile. And so Labantu that introduced you into the space then start to essentially lose favor for you. Because it's like the new girl in school. It's like the new girl in school. When I was in grade, I know my stories are many. When I was in grade maybe 10 in my high school. Okay, no, not grade 10. It was definitely before it was grade 9, maybe grade 9. When I was in grade 9, right? Okay, so in my class, grade 8 and grade 9 classes was the exact same kids, right? And when I was in grade 8 and grade 9, there was this colored girl in my class. Yo, that's like, that chick was beautiful. Okay, she was really pretty, right? And she was like the whole talk of the town when everybody was new in grade 8. And she was still the talk of the town now that we were now in grade 9. Barely anybody compared to this chick, like barely, okay? Even with new grade 8s flooding in, proper, like barely anybody compared to this beautiful chick, right? Okay, cool beans and bananas. And then somewhere in the middle of the grade 9 year, maybe like March or April, there then came another colored girl in the school in grade 9 in that weird time of the year, right? And she was in another class, not ours though. And she was beautiful, right? She was really, really pretty. Like, she just had this like curly hair and these green eyes and whatnot. She was really pretty, but I personally still thought that the girl that was in my class slayed everyone. Like, I still thought that the one in my class was the baddest, right? But this new chick that came into the school, what Juishangai is so much. This new chick that came into my school, because she was new, precisely because she was new, everybody was like, yo, there's this new girl in grade 9F. There's this new girl in grade 9, yo. And then, like, to a point where, like, this chick, she caused such a stir in the school when she was new that during class change one time, I remember everyone in my class, because she had caused a stir during class change, but their class was not changing. It was a double period for them. But with us, it was class change, so we were moving from one class to another class. So they were inside the class while we were changing classes. Papa, class another moyon. The whole school, of students, the class that she was in, the whole school of, I'm sorry, I'm distracted because I'm looking at whatever's going on over here. The class that she was in, the whole entire school of students that would pass by that class because she caused such a stir, was out here ogling, staring like it was spectators, just looking into the window, into the class. Everybody was like trying to see the new beautiful colored girl, and we all looked like such little barbarians, right? Just trying to peek at this beautiful girl. Type of establishment thing. She was like a paparazzi, like it was like we were all paparazzi, and she was like a celebrity in this class, right? And we were busy ogling to see inside the class the new girl, and I was of course among those that were ogling to see the new pretty girl because everybody was talking about this kind of chikomusha. So now me, out of curiosity, I went in and I ogled, and when then I went and I ogled, I still was like, yeah, she's pretty sure, but like she does not. She slays still. She still slays my friend, the one that's in her class still slays her. Like, I think she still slays her, but you see, that's the thing. She was new. The thing here was that she was new, and because she was new blood, she caused everybody to underestimate existing blood, if you know what I mean. She caused everybody else to underestimate the glory of the existing blood. She caused everybody else to underestimate the glory of the girl that held the crown, if you will, as the most beautiful girl in the school or whatever. I personally thought that our girl in our class was still beautiful, more even than the new chick. But by mere virtue of the new chick being new, people essentially vomited her. The Bible, it is written in God's word that, and that girl only lasted one day at school, by the way. She ended up leaving again. The Bible says that, and the colored girl in my class, when she saw her, when she saw her, she was like, she's got a big head. I remember thinking, she was like, she's got a big head. Come on, girl, you can't be the only beautiful girl in the school now. Relax. Anyway, whatever. So this chick that apparently had a big head, no, I didn't think she had a big head. The chick in my class was jealous. Like, that's all that. And she didn't even need to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She didn't even need to be all that jealous, but she was anyway. The thing here, however, that I am trying to highlight is that when new women come into the picture, or when new people come into the picture, and they are glorious, or they are discovered as glorious, they will win the attention of everybody else around, and therefore underestimate the old flame. It is written in God's word that like death and Sheol, like death and Hades, the eye of man is never satisfied. Let us say that again. Like death and like Hades, the eye of man is never satisfied. That's why the Bible says you must always enjoy the breasts of the wife of your youth, because there will always be a woman that is more beautiful, or a woman that is similarly beautiful to the one that you are with. And if you don't exercise self-control, if you are like a bear robbed of its cubs, or a city without walls, you will ogle and ogle at new blood. That's why there are so many gorgeous women who nonetheless, in spite of all of their glory, get cheated on by the men that they're with. And I don't know if you guys have seen the music video. Yeah, Sam Smith. Yeah, I know I'm not the only one. You and me, we made a vow. For better or for worse, you will know. The bride, the wife in that music video. Yeah, Sam Smith, yes, like it. Yo, she is beautiful. Yes, like it. That chick is fly. Do you understand? And this husband in this music video is cheating on her. And when you look at the mistress, it's like, ugh, the mistress ain't jack in comparison to the wife. And then you would ask yourself questions like, why would a man cheat on such a gorgeous woman? And even then, why would he cheat with someone so substandard to the wife? Because like death and Sheol, the eye of man is never satisfied. And men who cheat, even women, they squander their inheritance on strangers. They destroy a perfectly viable thing. They destroy perfectly beautiful things. And they don't care. And I mean, that woman is in so much pain. At some point, she's wearing her wedding gown and she's tearing herself apart and is in deep pain. She's in sorrow. She's in tears, crying over the fact that she knows that her husband is cheating on her. And then at the end of the music video, thoroughly proper, this like is a thing, like it happens. At the end of the music video, she is again robed in glory, right? She is robed in glory. This woman, she's a housewife and she has kept herself in a bunch. She has wiped her tears and she welcomes her husband home with a smile, knowing that he is cheating on her. And all that you ask yourself in that music, when you watch that music video, is why would a man cheat on such a beautiful, poised, elegant woman? Why would a man cheat on a woman that has it together like this? She is clearly clothed in strength and dignity, and not even make it evident when she is aware that she suspects her husband of cheating. She receives him warmly when he comes back home from a dalliance, a tryst. She receives him warmly, and then you ask yourself, why would a man hurt a woman like this? Carnal men, ungodly men, unseemly men, men that don't know God will thoroughly get some of the most baddest brides in the game. Like, there is nobody out here that would not want to marry this woman. They will take you from her any day now, but they will succeed to cheat. And even then, with mistresses that are just absolutely and excruciatingly substandard to the bride. It's about greed, it's rapacity, it's hedonism, it's pleasure seeking. It's just utter rubbish, utter nonsense. Or you will find a guy that will insist on making a side chick, like what's going on with me, will insist on making a side chick out of a woman that ought to be a wife, but he doesn't matter. For him, it's about grub, it's about eating. Eat, drink, defecate, consume. It's about just satiating basic instincts. It's about satiating their needs for the day. Listen, they're not careful, not even in the slightest, to even regard the travesty that they're achieving in these streets, that they're trying to achieve in these streets. They're not even careful for the travesty, only considerate about their own bones and how they're going to feed them. And so, therefore, tarnish a perfectly marriable woman mar her with the status of a side piece, second best, whatever. Perfectly marriable women. And it's running in this epidemic era of witchcraft that we're dwelling in 2025. You be out to getting women, they get fed all different kinds of drugs, made high on the hallucinogens of the occult, until they can't even see themselves having an affair with a guy that don't make no sense. He is absolutely and comprehensively substandard, and yet she is allowing herself to be a side chick. And some of them, the travesty is so voluminous that they become side pieces for, listen to this, life. They allow themselves to be these men's mistresses for life. It's ridiculous. Like, it is just such a weird little phenomenon to gaze at. These women who let themselves be side pieces for life when they are perfectly marriable, perfectly viable, and they bewitch women until they can't figure themselves out. They don't know whether they're coming and they don't know whether they're going. And then you find yourself, like I said, entirely reviled as a woman in society, looked at as a homewrecker, gazed upon as irresponsible and entirely inconsiderate of other women, precisely because you're the mistress or the side chick of a dude that has held you hostage, and you are so glorious, and precisely because of your glory, more so are people going to look at you frowning on some, so she thinks that she can just steal our husbands. This woman said no, and this woman was serious with her no, precisely because he's married. But this woman was then brought in anyway. She was brought in Gabuloi, she was brought in Gadikare, and there appears to be absolutely nothing that can be done now for her because she is thoroughly under a spell. And manje, when you're that high on the supply of occult magic, what else can you do? When you're that high on the supply of occult magic, so when there is no Holy Spirit, when there is no power in Christ, what can you do other than allow yourself to be reviled reputationally as a woman that is above reproach, that is largely above reproach, that is largely sober, you are largely sane, and yet a man will walk up and in his greed, like rubbing his hands together, already putting a napkin in his shirt, has thoroughly determined to make out of you a side chick, a mistress for life. I'm being pursued, followed around by men like this, and the disquieting thing is about to talk about Saidi, and right now I'm speaking about the women who helped them. So in reverting then back to the story, high school, when there was that new color chick, and everybody was made to underestimate the one in my class that was already quite, how is my device overheating? Come on. Listen, I think my phone was overheating because there were quite a few applications open, and I don't even know why there were so many apps open. I hope that's like proper. Like, I feel like I had closed all my apps, but it mustn't over, like proper. It's like it's like 14 minutes past midnight. It shouldn't overheat unless of course my phone is on its way out, and that would suck. But anyway, we'll just have to keep on monitoring it, and like just hope for the best. Anyway, yeah. There's an epidemic of witchcraft, and so they are to be using sorcery that way. So then in returning to the story of that chick from my high school, it doesn't matter what glory the present women have, or the present queen, or the present tiara holder has. Tomorrow, when somebody else who is fresh blood, that is also similarly glorious, rocks up, greedy men, greedy women, greedy people will literally try and grab the crown from the one head and put it on another, and claim that the new thing that's in the room is better than yesterday's stuff. Women, that's how you get duped and deceived into basically bashing heads, head-butting. That's how you get deceived into head-butting each other. That's how you get deceived into hating other women to a point where you will utterly and comprehensively be the bane of women's existence out of nothing but envy, because some dude actually treated you like trash because some new lady rocked up. Men are able to cheat on gorgeous women with side pieces that don't make no kind of sense, and so therefore cause a great deal of confusion in every woman in the room, in this ecosystem. They will cause the confusion in both the mistress right next to the wife. The wife will out here question herself and her glory and all that which she brings to the table, because you're cheating on me with that. And then the mistress will gaze at herself as something queenly and poised above a woman that is evidently just excellent above her. She will literally be cold, icy water on the head of a woman that is just too stunning to be cheated on. That's why you all need to give your lives to Jesus Christ, because then if you don't, you will end up head-butting as women, hating each other because of indiscretions committed against you from oneself, from within your own camp as women, and also the fact that you keep on getting exchanged by ungodly men who out here will underestimate your glory and your girth, your splendor, purely because he saw someone else. Be she glorious or not in comparison to you, you will nonetheless be given an insecurity, and a deep one at that, in the climate of a new lady that is out here being paraded as far better than you. And the sad and disquieting thing about this man that's out here singing praises to another woman that is new in the room, new in the atmosphere, is that it will cause you passive aggression against the woman that is being sung praises to without you realizing that the man in question singing these praises, Washanya, he is greedy. He's like death and Sheol. His eye is never satisfied. He is rapacious. And he is also, it is written in God's word, that like a city without walls, so too is a man without self-control. And so too, like a bear robbed of its cubs, so too is a man without self-control. This person is like a bear robbed of its cubs. He has no self-control. So therefore, anybody otang will be used. Any new, splendid, shiny thing will be used to underestimate the existing shiny, splendid things, because it has allowed the existing splendid shiny things to grow dull only in his eyes. Only in his eyes. He has allowed a perfectly viable, perfectly wonderful wife to be dulled, to be dimmed in glory, in splendor. Oh, greedy and hana self-control. He has not been enabled by the Lord to love women, love Christ, love his wife the way that Christ loved the church. And so therefore, in his rapacity, he will literally cause an underestimating of his existing lady by somebody new that is ornate, that is shiny, that has just blossomed into a flower or whatever. And in so then gazing at a new thing with favor will thoroughly cause beef between women, to a point where my cousin was like, hi, when her crazy boyfriend, whose eye was not satisfied, he loved himself young blood. School uniform. And even though I thought I was burned, charged to a coal by the sun, feeling like I'm all unseemly, coming back all sweaty from school in my school uniform, he sees me 1 year later from the last time that he saw me in grade 8. And he is like, yo, you've grown. And basically says that in front of his own girlfriend, saying, now that you're growing into yourself and you are yet to be spent, for I have not broken your virginity, you are still shiny in a box that is yet to be unwrapped. I'm thoroughly going to be an affront to my own girlfriend and praise you in front of her and say, girl, I am so surprised to see the young fine woman that you grew up to be. Your body's bagging like a 300 degrees, even your attitude after making like music soul child. He thoroughly told my cousin that, yeah, she's looking good. And so there was beef in my cousin. I mean, that was the beginnings of beef. It would only ramp up to the gnarly monster that she ultimately became against me. But when you as a woman allow yourself to get spent by crazy guys that have no self-control enough to go and break virginities of 14-year-olds as 19-year-olds, you will thoroughly think the new 15-year-old now, all up in your grill, is up for grabs in front of the other 14-year-old whose virginity you took last year. Yeah, he out here thoroughly said in front of his girlfriend, yeah, you look good now. So, I mean, I've already nibbled out of that chicken leg. I'm looking at this one. So what, are you gonna go and hit both cousins? Are you gonna go and get both women? Of course, Azanga Shela right there and then. But he basically hinted to my cousin that if you weren't here, I'd holla. If you were not here, I would holla. And my cousin was like, hey. And then, of course, the whole situation continued and progressed. It did its thing, it metastasized. And then that was over. This is this cousin. And this particular encounter, these encounters, were before Leondale. They were before we were hanging out in the east of Johannesburg in the midst of crazy people that out here became rappers in the country and were very famous at some point. This was before I went to an atmosphere, an environment, an ecosystem where I was like, it's a raining man. Hallelujah. It's a raining man. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna let myself get absolutely soaking wet. Yeah. As a virgin. Next to two chicks that I'd just be getting laid on. Two chicks that I'd just be busy fornicating. And I'm a virgin. My man, like, yeah, I mean, do you already see Kotsi? This is grade 10 now. So I get I'm this ugly duckling that became a swan. So I'm beautiful. I'm a virgin. I'm the new girl in school. I'm the new girl in school that even though the existing girls in school are still pretty fly, everybody's done with them. Do you see the danger? I mean, do you see the kotsi that I'm in upon being here in this particular space called Leondale? Yeah, okay, my phone is not overheating. There were a whole bunch of apps open. Do you see the danger that I'm in now? I mean, are you able to see, forecast how this is gonna end? I am the virgin. I am pretty. Aguna muntu that has been nibbling away at me like a gascos or whatever, spy goes, hanging out with two chicks that be out getting slammed into every so often. One of them was Faila was koloni bilani. and I'm the academic. Listen, men are hypocrites, guys, and before they become men, they're boys. They can be hypocritical, and I spoke about that in my last video. It was in my last one or my previous one to that. One of these videos, remember I told you that story of mine? That weird little eerie story of mine where when I was looking for a job as a 19-year-old, having had to drop out of Wits University because my mom wasn't paying my fees, and I found myself applying for a job as a masseuse, and I found myself in a brothel. You'll remember that story if you listen to my message before last. So I found myself in a brothel, and because I finally found out that it was a brothel, I said, hey, I don't want to be here. And the pimps of that brothel, 3 West African guys that were young, were like, you do well, my sister. One of them had an American accent, the one who spoke to me. He was like, you're doing a good thing, because no woman should have to peruse these streets. You've made the right decision. And they treated me so much like a queen that they even drove me. They chauffeured me home. They made their driver drive me back home while I caught taxis to go to that interview. You're gonna have to go and listen to that whole story. It actually, if anything, it's in my introductory video on this channel. I told you that story, that clandestine story of mine, where I find myself in a brothel so yeah. But where I was at, men who out here be using women's bodies in this fashion, selling them as pimps. When one said, I don't do prostitution, they were like, good girl, we like you, you're a pimp. And yet you congratulate women who don't want to be whores. Why are you not training women up in the avoidance of whoredom? Instead, you're hoping that they're gonna have their own morals sufficient to avoid whoredom. On that day, you're irresponsible with your manhood and your patriarchal headship that God gave you as Adam. You are not stewarding Eve, right? You don't get to be made first and then not steward the holiness of Eve. You're nonsense. And you also don't get to be proud of Eve when she decides not to be a whore, and then frown upon the Eve that decides to be a whore. Yeah, men are hypocrites that way. So long story short, guys that be out here hitting it and quitting it, guys that out here be doing one-night stands on women, drive-by shootings, guys that out here be breaking all the virginities, Georgie, porgy, pudding pie, kiss the girls and make them cry. The one girl that slams their door in their face, the one girl that refuses to be squandered, spent like that, the one woman that spits in his face, that throws dust in his eyes, and that punches him in, the one woman that throws him in the swimming pool and takes a run for it, the one woman that avoids him like the plague, even though were she a lot less intense, a lot more loose, a lot more uninhibited, he would have gone in for the kill and made out of her yet another casualty, because she turned out to be the one person that conquered his arrogance and thinking he can just do a drive-by shooting anywhere like he's a boy in the hood. He will literally pedestal her and put her up like a queen and say, this is my kind of woman. This is the kind of woman that I don't just walk by. Oh yeah, because she gave me a run for my money. He will praise her. He will, like I said, pinnacle her. He will make her a queen. He will put her on a throne and then say to all the other women, Jonga, Bigwantindini conglomerate of whores, you mixture of gomers. Look at the example today. This is who you're supposed to be. You weren't supposed to let me hit that. You weren't supposed to let me quit that. You weren't supposed to let me essentially make out of you spoiled goods, spent merchandise, footstoots. You were supposed to resist me like Karabo resisted me. And so Karabo, you're my queen. I once watched on Baibizang Setapena DSTV some years ago. In this sorrow, in this persecution that I now found myself in, I once watched a remake, but the Sintu style, the Sintu version, the traditional version, Story sa Cinderella. I once watched Story sa Cinderella, but the Sintufied version, like a remake in a very traditional fashion of a girl that was like Cinderella, but from the Machaes, who was mistreated by stepmom, and in this instance there was just one stepsister. And yes, like this story was just, it left such a bad taste in my mouth, because I was like, what the heck, like no. Already I was a Mselwani. I'm already a Christian, I'm already going through hell on earth, and I'm already picking a bone with these crazy guys that feel entitled to ladies and want to reduce them to these things that need rescuing, when really and truly we only have one rescuer. His name is Mashiach. Mashiach. Yes, okay. To the story, ne? And basically it goes a little something like this. Herein lies this gorgeous young lady that is essentially a Cinderella. They treat her like trash every so often. They make her sleep on the floor in a rondable that has no food for like days on end, and they give her scraps. Like, they treat her like trash, do you understand? But she's fly. And they also have made her like a domestic worker. She cleans everybody's everything, picks up after everybody's litter. This chick is treated like the scum of the entire planet, right? By her relatives. Well, her step relatives. Yeah, type of establishment thing. Like, her life is essentially scummy, right? And then there's like this one guy in the community that is essentially the most eligible bachelor all up in that ecosystem. He is a guy osebenza eJozi Mabonenye, but every so often he comes to the Machayes to visit because that's where he grew up. So he has made it, he's very successful. And every so often he goes back home. And he's single, he's looking for a wife. And this guy, because he's looking for a wife, and it's in Totasendu, they do a reed dance there, and I have picked bones multiple times about this problem in African culture, where women's breasts are there for the consumption, feeding off men's lust, with women out here dancing in front of men, barely dressed, breasts hanging out, satiating a polygamist thirst and a hunger for sexual perversity. And yet it is heralded and praised as our culture. Abafazi pornographically prancing themselves nude in front of men so he can choose a bride. What the heck? It's objectification. I don't know why you don't walk away from ancestral worship, y'all. Because you are objectified in that religion. In the worst way. Why, Kwamele, before a man chooses you for a bride, why is modesty not important for him to see your virtue? Why rather must he see your boobs just stark staring? So much so is this exposure of women's breasts in traditional black culture a thing that it's not even considered nudity when covered on a television show, to a point where it'll catch you like crazy off guard. And also, it's so not regarded as nudity that when you go to like holiday resorts or whatever where they are showing black culture, women be out there walking around with their breasts all over, and it'll catch you like literally off guard as a holiday maker, thinking that you're just going to go and see black culture, and the next thing there's like these girls wearing these stompies with their buttocks sticking out and their breasts there, and kind of thing, you're there with a boyfriend, you're there with a husband, and he's like looking at these girls with all their pert breasts all up in everybody's grill, and this man is not supposed to be stumbled? Like, what man is not stumbled by boobs just staring at them? What man? It's pornographic, and you are being objectified in that fashion. Do you understand? I once went to go and watch Umoja, I think it was called Umoja, that show, that musical production at a theater with my colleagues. It was an outing, a team building with colleagues, y'all, and we were expecting to see just dancing and the depiction of like a traditional story being told. And I will give it this much: it was a very excellently done production, and that's why I guess it lingered for so long. It lingered as long, almost like Titanic at the movies, or even Avatar. It lingered for very long because it was a very excellent production. But I was caught off guard, and I was made very uncomfortable. Extremely uncomfortable. Because I was there even with my colleagues. Do you understand? Yeah. When one of the scenes in this dance like show, this musical, properly, the girls there rocked up on stage naked. In other words, like their breasts were sticking out. Like, I'm out just sitting next to my bosses that are men. I'm out just sitting next to my colleagues that are men. And everybody is just like shuffling in their chair. Like, this is normal. No, it's not. I was disquieted by it. Nobody spoke about it when the show ended. Umoja. Everybody was like, that was an excellent production. No, it was nice. But no, listen, people were naked and I was uncomfortable as a woman looking at a breast, Tabasadi, in this production. Nobody, like, so much so is it just embraced as normal, this thing, that it was not a forewarning given us as colleagues that, okay, before we go and watch this thing, I must warn you, there is a sex scene or there is a nude scene. Nobody saw it fit to highlight that as an issue, and neither was it even in the pamphlets that there would be nudity in the show, because it's apparently, allegedly, nothing at all. It's not supposed to be churning or spurring people up in any kind of strange capacity for them to see breasts, and so far as they're on women wearing a certain outfit within the traditional landscape proper. Lust is lust is lust. If at all you feel some kind of way upon gazing at boobs in a porn flick or even on a show on Netflix, you ought then be similarly disquieted by it when you see it in somebody apparently allegedly just rocking their traditional gear with a calabash on their head or whatever. Proper, no, it's nudity. So you women who are not picking bones with the fact that your culture objectifies you and causes and men within our culture, you are made to be content within Dabayoguti. Essentially, they're left to be ogling perverts at all of our body parts without it being problematic for you as a woman, being looked at that way. Our men are essentially being cultivated and cultured to be pervs that will choose wives based on how perky their breasts are because they got to see them before they got married, and for men to also not have issues with their wife's breasts having been gazed upon by everyone in the community before he lays with her. Just the like comfort or the quietness within his own bones, that other people have seen the nudity of these women, Wonke umuntu has seen all the contours of these women. Just the fact that there is no jealousy in him for that. Do you see? It is demonic. Because listen, God is jealous for us because he does not want us having adulterous affairs with other gods. He hates idolatry. That is, our God hates idolatry, and so he does not want us whoring, making ourselves butt naked before other men, before other gods. He does not want us consulting sangwamas. He does not want us partaking in Eastern mysticism, burning incense and sage, God doesn't want us doing all that because it's like basically parading yourself nude before another man. Yeah, if at all the relationship between Jesus Christ and the body of Christ is indeed that of a bride and a groom, and he is jealous for his bride, and if at all his bride is unfaithful, she is a whoring. She has gone out to, like, the typology is that of a whore that has gone out to go and see other men and have her nakedness be all up in another man's grill. If at all that's how the Bible typologizes it. Therefore, it says that if at all God says to men, love your wives the way that I have loved the church and given my life for her. The Lord loves the church enough to be jealous for us, to protect us, to ensconce us, to make sure that nobody else rips us from his hand, that we might not be tempted unto idolatry. Therefore, he loves us enough to make sure, or to insist, ascertain, that we are not made naked before other men or other idols, so to speak. You understand what I'm saying? It therefore says that if at all you are to have a relationship with the bride in your life that is similar to that of Christ with the church, you ought also be jealous for the nakedness of your wife. You also ought to be jealous for the nudity of the woman that is ultimately the one with whom you will lay on your wedding night. You ought to be jealous for her hips, her thighs. You ought to be jealous for her breasts. You ought to be jealous for her contours. That's how it should be. And so, do you not see the perversion of traditional black culture when women are made to prance themselves butt naked in front of men in order for them to choose those women as wives? Why do you think it's such an issue in the black community that we are so objectified, black women, that we are the ones with the wretched music videos and our booties all over the show, twerking it up and storm jiggling? Why is it that, well, yes, we get that there's a whole bunch of white women and Hispanics and all different kinds of other cultures that are adopting wretched black culture, but largely we are the ones objectified and also called like random whores and the B word and whatnot in rap music videos. We are objectified and our virtue is not protected, and our men don't insist upon our modesty enough for Sierra to actually be rocking up at like some event with her husband barely dressed and everybody be out there complaining. Why would you let your wife go out like that? It's a generational curse in black men because we are jiggling our naked bodies in a reed dance in front of a whole chunk of men in order for them to think of us as viable, fertile, or whatever. And by the time we get married, listen, even his grandfather has seen your breasts. Even his grandfather has seen your breasts. Every man, his best friend, has seen your breasts. Wonke umuntu has seen the boobs of your wife, and that's how he then gets approved, tapped on the shoulder off as, oh, Baba, you've done well, boy. Your wife is fertile, hey, because look at her hips, look at her butt. Like, what in the world? Out here showing another man your woman's goods and not even batting an eyelid about that. You are demon possessed on that day. You are entirely demon possessed and need to be cured because you ought to be jealous for your wife. And yet it is a black culture entirely to parade women naked in ancestral worship before ogling men. In Freud's theory of the psyche, there is a phase that I spoke about either in my shorts or my last video called the phallic phase from around the ages of 3 to 6, where it is that there is something called penis envy and castration anxiety in girls and boys respectively, where it is that a protuberance, a phallus, is noticed by girl children, that it exists on their dads and it also exists on boys or their brothers. And so therefore, because they notice that they're flat, they've got an innie, while the boys have got an outie, they then envy it because the phallus is the one that's rather coveted, whereas the girl's lack of it, that's actually how it is rather spoken of, that the girls have a lack of a phallus rather than they have a vagina. Instead of them having a vagina, they rather have a lack of a phallus because it's rather regarded as something that's missing instead of you having different body parts, and so it results in what we call penis envy, and that's what causes later on in life issues with androgyny, issues with theft of manhood, like feminism, like just wanting to usurp the power of men and whatnot, because you notice that you don't have it, and so you don't have it, so you compensate when you have got a fixation to penis envy when you have a fixation in that stage of childhood development, you then basically develop issues and develop with a very extreme case of feminism all up in your bones, where you are going to want to take on the power and the strength of men, so you will be very emasculating, very disrespectful, very etc. Yeah, because that's your way of coping with the fact that you lack a phallus type establishment thing. And then of course there is the issue with castration anxiety. Therein lies again the important thing here. The prize is the phallus. And so when then women emasculate you, you are suffocating under castration anxiety. You're scared that yours is going to get taken. So as a result of castration anxiety and penis envy respectively, it is therefore recommended that from the ages of 3 to 6, mothers start bathing their daughters and dads start bathing their sons. And so therefore mothers must divorce themselves from perpetually being being naked in the presence of their sons. And also fathers, you can't be naked anymore in the presence of your daughter from that age, from like 3 to 5, because there is a confusion pertaining body parts, right? There is a confusion, there is a recognition, a noticing by children of the different genitals of the different genders, to a point where they would have this issue within themselves, this conflict. Enough for it to be a recommendation that from around that age, 3 to 6, stop bathing your opposite gender children and hand them over to a male guardian or whatever. And again, don't let the opposite gender child see your naked body, because then it becomes problematic, because they start to notice. So this thing of continuing to bath even your children that are twins, one boy, one girl, or siblings, continuing to bath with each other, at some point it needs to stop. It needs to stop, right? And it is recommended that from the age of 3 to 6, that's when girls need to take, girls are not again anymore allowed to take a bath in the same bathtub with their brothers from that age, because they start to notice that, oh goodness, there's like a difference, right? And then they experiment. I'll show you mine, you'll show me yours. And in that video I was lamenting about the fact that around that very age of childhood development, because of sinful man and them ignoring the fact that righteousness is like a whole requirement from God, men are like, okay, listen, masturbation is okay, because that's where children start to out here touch their nether regions. They start to experiment with things like masturbation, and it needs to be trained out of them. For in the heart of a child dwells a great deal of folly, but the rod of discipline drives it away from the children, right? So you need to basically train a child not to masturbate in that age. Say that it's wrong, because this is within the space, it is reserved for this kind of atmosphere. It's a form of fornication, like don't do it. But in modern culture that is as perverse as it is, it's out here encouraging children to masturbate. See, that's not what I'm saying. Yeah, anyway, I highlighted that ever so briefly. You're gonna have to get the full brunt or extent of the explanation from my last video that I did, where I was speaking about castration anxiety and penis envy, and I was also speaking about how psychology can be used to explain many concepts biblically, because it's like half of the story, and then you must seal it, the rest of it, with the gospel to help explain the whole condition of the human race. Anyway, whatever, that's like a whole nother story for another day, right? Yeah, but I highlighted like that issue with castration anxiety and penis envy within that phallic stage of childhood development, to help you understand and develop then the taboo the taboo of young women of age 18, 19, 20 years old parading themselves naked in front of grown men. You are way past 3 to 6. You are way past the phallic stage of childhood development. You are no longer experimenting with your nether regions, masturbating where you don't even have sexual arousal within you. Because you see, at the ages of 3, from the age of 3 and to 6, you are yet to enter into puberty, into even prepubescence. You are yet to enter into that hormonal phase of a child's life where they start to feel sexual arousal, where they actually start to have wet dreams and feel some kind of way. That's why the teenage years are so dangerous, because that's when the hormones are out of whack, and that's when they can actually, that's when they start to experiment sexually with each other, because they have now the feelings that are attached to their genitals. Now they are there. Whereas as a child, there was an innocence about you, where even when you're saying at the age of 3, I'll show you mine, and when you show me yours, there is no actual sexual arousal, because that whole adolescence, puberty has yet to happen. And so nobody's going on their period, nobody's yet producing semen at that, able to, ejaculate. And so therefore it's just experimentation, because you are observing it on adults. You are seeing it on TV, which is why you need to be careful what your children watch. You're experimenting only based on observation, but not on actual feelings attached to your experimentation. But when you get a little bit older, you experiment based on your own arousal. So what the heck? You're now like, what, 23, you're 30, you're 45, and you are sitting at a reed dance, watching a bunch of naked chicks and expecting not to get aroused? You're naive. Like, it's literally entirely naive. You're past that point. You're past puberty. You're past adolescence. Way past it. And yet you think that you can be neutral upon gazing at women's nudity. You are irresponsible, therefore, then on that day, when you not only promulgate this thing, but approve it. Approve those who do this thing. You are entirely and comprehensively irresponsible because you are not gouging out your eye, you're not cutting off your hand, you are not exercising self-control over your passions. You don't have those passions at 3 to 6, so there are excuses as to why little children are out there experimenting with masturbation. It must be trained out of them. But when then you are 20, what the heck? On that day, you are way past the age of accountability. On that day, you know what you're doing, and so therefore you must burn for that lust. Nobody can put coals on their pants and expect not to burn. That's what it is written in God's word in the Proverbs. You have issue all over the streets, eh? So therefore, if at all Jesus Christ made men to be jealous for girlfriends, wives, and you are indeed jealous for your wives, aren't you? You don't want them cheating on you. And yet in black culture, even though you don't want your wife cheating on you, because that can cause murder, that can cause so much anger that you can literally cast away your bride, the way that Christ cast away in exile and in judgment Israel for going a whoring. If at all you can cast away your bride and maybe even kill the adulterer with whom she's having an affair out of jealous rage, why are you letting your women that you are choosing to be brides parade themselves in front of other men that could covet your wife's breasts?